All right, everyone. So Money in the Bank is over, and there's been, I think, mixed reaction online to the pay per view, which is why we're doing this video. So we're going to go over a few of their problems people had, and then we're going to give our thoughts. So one of the problems, obviously, the Damian Priest little botch. I don't think that's a huge deal in terms of like didn't ruin the show like it seemingly did for some people, but that is something they're talking about. The second thing is Drew McIntyre cashing in and then losing his cash in right away. People were complaining this was a bad idea because now Drew McIntyre doesn't even have the Money in the Bank. People just didn't love that. Even if they liked the hatred between him and CM Punk, I don't think that fell maybe how WWE would have liked it to go, and the fan base wasn't all that happy about that. The final thing is I've seen some complaints about the main event. I thought the main event was fine, but it certainly didn't have the impact that prior main events have had, and also the Money in the Bank matches were the best on the show. So those, I think it was like you had those really good matches. I thought the Seth Rollins match was good as well, but everything else was, there could have been better, I would say. So this is the point of us doing this video: is we want to just give our 2 cents on this, and we don't want to sound like we're WWE fanboys and we never want to criticize them. But I think people have to understand that this pay per view was setting up for things to come. You heard people say, "Oh, I wish Roman Reigns came back," and that was kind of the narrative people wanted. They wanted to see him come back. They want to see Roman Reigns fight this bloodline. But you got to understand that WWE has to build to these stories. And if you think about, so with Solo Sequoia, if Roman Reigns came back at this pay per view, how would that make a ton of sense, right? Just thinking about it from a story perspective, because if he came back at this pay per view, who would take on Cody, right? Or if Solo was gonna take on Cody, then Roman would just be on the outside waiting for that match to get over. You have to understand that when this pay per view is setting up for a bunch of different angles that are going to pay off at later pay per views, and I think when you're judging these pay per views, don't always judge on the did WWE wow us? And there were a few wow moments, right, with John Cena and others. Those were certainly wow moments, but that was it because this is a pay per view setting up for future pay per views, right? So the payoff is going to come at a later date. So if we're wishing there was more here, just enjoy the matches because they were very good, especially the Money in the Bank matches, and keep that in mind when you're judging this, because I can guarantee you, by SummerSlam, by next year's WrestleMania, all of these little storylines that will have started at Money in the Bank are going to be paid off at a later date. So that's all I want to say. For those that are kind of like, oh man, is WWE going to mess this up? Is something going wrong here? Take a deep breath. Understand that this is setting up. This is setting up for Roman Reigns' return, right? This is setting up for maybe a Rock Roman Reigns WrestleMania pay per view. This is setting up for a John Cena Cody Rhodes or John Cena Randy Orton or whatever it is. Big match. So just like I said, take a deep breath, enjoy the matches, and understand that let WWE tell the story. And then if the story doesn't end well or it's not, if it doesn't make sense, then you criticize it. But until then, understand this was a pay per view building storyline.